Something that you've read in your history books. This is the Meguti temple, and this is India's first ever dated temple. It's a Jain temple. On the outside is something very interesting. It's an inscription written by Ravi Kirti, who was a poet in Pulakeshi's time. In the inscription, he talks about Kalidasa. That's the first ever mention of Kalidasa. And Ravi Kirti also talks about his own great poetic genius. What an absolutely wonderful temple. I'm sure it's a great sight even from right on top of the temple. I'm right on top at the Meguti temple, and what a beautiful sight it is. From here you can see almost all of Aihole. I'm looking at the sunflower fields, the paddy fields, the coconut trees, a whole bunch of the temples that, you know, Aihole is famous for. Almost all of the 120 temples I can see right here. There is the Huchapaya temple, that there is the Durg temple I visited in the morning, and right there behind me a bunch of 20 temples that are all together and span from the 6th century to the 8th century. What a beautiful spot. I can even see a bit of the Aihole river, and something that really fascinated me when I got up here. This area here onto my right is supposed to be the area that our ancestors in the 10,000 BC actually lived in. This very spot, from then to back to this and to the present day, still such a beautiful spot. Moving on from Aihole to Pattadakal, just 15 kilometers away, the culmination of all the artistic and architectural genius you just witnessed at Aihole. Pattadakal is a World Heritage Site. Aihole, Pattadakal and Badami are famous for their architecture. Aihole was the school of architecture, Badami was the place that it was practiced at, and Pattadakal, the ground of coronation, became the place that this beautiful architecture was perfected in. I'm here in Pattadakal, right between Badami and Aihole. Now, Pattadakal basically means a platform or a stone for coronation, and that's exactly what this entire complex is about. On the banks of the sacred river Malaprabha, this complex houses 9 Shiva temples, all to commemorate and coronate the kings of the Chalukyan Empire. It's absolutely lovely when you look at all these temples. What I like most about this place is the fact that you get to see both styles of architecture, the Aryan as well as the Dravidian. And in fact, in one temple, the Mallikarjun temple, both styles come together to truly create a semblance of superb architecture. It's such an incredible sight. All temples facing east in dedication of Lord Shiva to announce the king of the Chalukyan Empire. This is the Virupaksha temple, and it's not just the most important temple in Pattadakal, but it's also probably one of the most important temples through the period of Chalukyan architecture. This temple was built in the 8th century by the wife of Vikramaditya, Lokamahadevi. It was built in commemoration of Vikramaditya's victory against the Kanchipuras. And what an absolutely beautiful temple it is. It's supposed to be architecturally perfect in terms of technicality. It has everything a temple is supposed to have. And this here, the platform where the Nandi is placed facing the Linga, is incredible. It's almost like the Nandi will come alive. It's such a beautiful idol. And right behind the Nandi platform is the main entrance, which faces the holy river of Mahaprabha. And when you just look around this temple, you know, there are carvings everywhere. There are idols, 32 idols of the gods that surround this temple. Every possible image of Shiva, images from the Mahabharata, images from the Ramayana, images that depict the life that was prevalent in that time with the kings, with the common people. It truly depicts the life through the Chalukyan period. Like I told you earlier, Pattadakal is considered a holy spot, probably because of the river Mahaprabha, which, like the Ganges, flows from the south to the north. Up to 90 kings have been coronated here, and in fact there's an inscription in one of the temples that supports this. 90 kings belonging not just to the Chalukya dynasty but also kings from the Nanda dynasty, the Mauryas, the Guptas, Shagara, Purva, North Indian kings, all these. They have come here to have their coronation ceremony. I guess this place truly is sacred and, well, also has a majestic power about it. And now just another 15-kilometer ride to the stronghold of the Chalukyan Empire, the Badami Caves. Badami at the Badami Caves, probably one of the most fascinating structures in South India. All these caves, monolithic rocks, have fascinating carvings on the inside, all done during the Chalukyan era from the 6th to the 8th century. And currently I'm standing at a cave that's dedicated to Shiv. Absolutely lovely on the inside. The work is so detailed, so intricate. There are 3 other caves that I'm on my way to. 2 of them dedicated to Shiva, 1 to Mahavira. This place, the caves, the Badami Caves, isn't just about religion, carvings. It's also about a fantastic location, lots of stories, and, well, just some incredible carvings. This is the first cave at Badami, and this cave is dedicated to Lord Shiva. There are images of Harihara, of Ardhanareshwari, and this one here, something I've never seen before, and apparently it's only possible to see this at the Badami Caves. This is Nataraja, which is of course the dancing Shiva. And if you look at this closely, you will see that each side has 9 hands. So what happens is when you create permutations and combinations, it becomes 81 dance poses of Bharatanatyam, and this is the only place where you can see something like this. It truly is incredible. I've been standing here for the last 10 minutes or so trying to come up with at least 10 or say 12 of the dance poses, and I'm still on the 5th one, so I think I'm going to take a while with this. The first cave has been promising, 3 more to go, and I must say the higher you go from here, the more beautiful and exotic the view of the town gets. This is the second cave, built in the time of Kirti Varma, who's Pulakeshi's son, and I can't imagine that this is just as beautiful as the first one. This one is dedicated solely to Lord Vishnu, and you can see various avatars of his, and of course you see other images and stories. You see the Ramayana running across, you see stories from the Mahabharata, and it's all so beautifully carved. Every detail, every part of the story is so well told. I guess one of the reasons they had these carvings on the walls was not just to show Vishnu, but also to tell people the stories, to tell people stories of morality and goodness. Absolutely beautiful on the inside. the third of the caves created by Mangalesha and dedicated to Lord Vishnu. It truly is incredible. It's the biggest of all 4 caves, and when you walk in you realize why you feel like being completely taken in by it. Every image of Lord Vishnu there is so big, it's life-size, it literally comes out at you from the walls itself. Of course, the images are pretty much the same as we saw in cave number 2, the image of Varaha, Vamana, but there's this very unusual one which is called the Ananta Asana, which has Vishnu sitting on a snake, not sleeping on it, sitting on it. So he looks basically like he's sitting on a throne. So he looks like royalty, like a king, and it's just the most beautiful image ever. It truly is an incredible cave. Also, the view from this one is fantastic. You get to see Agastya Tirtha, you get to see the lovely, lovely rocks of Badami. Fantastic spot. This is the 4th cave dedicated to Mahavira. This was built by Pulakeshi II when he converted to Jainism, and it's an absolutely lovely spot. It's quiet, it's calm, it's serene. This cave is so intricately carved. You have, of course, an idol of Mahavira. There's also carvings on the walls of the first Tirthankara, Rishabhanatha Adinatha. On either side you also have another Tirthankara carved on the wall, and you have images of 24 Tirthankaras. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think more than anything else the location really makes it such a gem of a cave. I'm on the banks of the Agastya Tirtha, and up there are the 4 caves I visited earlier on. From there the water looks lovely, and from here it looks even better. I'm right beside the Bhutnath temple, and now standing here I can see why Badami is called so. It's because of the color of the rocks. It's almond colored, hence the name Badami. You know, having visited Aihole, Patadakal and Badami, I realized why this was such a fabulous period, why it was such a fantastic time in history. Not just the architecture, but the culture, the heritage that they've passed on to us. It's only something you can be eternally grateful for, and whenever you come here, you should really be able to soak it in. In the sunset, just enjoy the view of Badami and the era that's gone by with the Chalukyan Empire. The sun sets in Badami and dawns on a beautiful bright day in Hampi. If dreams were etched in stone, you'd find them here at Hampi, a World Heritage Site, a city of ruins, probably the most captivating and historic sites in all of South Asia, packed with palaces, temples, market streets, fortifications, and an abundance of ancient monuments. Hampi takes you through a sojourn into the past. There are so many sites to check out while you're at Hampi. I'm starting off with one of the main attractions, the musical attraction, the Vitala Temple. Even before you get near the monument, you are completely taken in by the vast, expansive beauty of the Vitala Temple. is the famous Vitala temple, known for its glorious 56 pillars of music. It was here that once the sun set, the worship of Lord Vishnu would begin and the music would resound right through these hills. This temple was built in the 15th century during the rule of Sri Krishnadevaraya, and it still looks just as glorious and beautiful as it did in the past. This is the magic of the Vitala temple. This hall here, known as the Sangeeta Mantapa or the Music of Hall, is made entirely of granite, including the smaller pillars that you see here. These pillars are able to create the music of the veena, the mridangam, the tabla, the jalataranga, just to name a few. And there are 56 pillars of these. You can imagine that the science and the thinking that went behind each of these pillars, not just the art, but the sound that they're able to produce, the exact marking and everything that the maker of this place has managed to bring together. Inside there is the Hall of Dance, which is where all the cultural dance happen, again in worship of Lord Vishnu. It's unbelievable when you're standing here and you're looking at this. You just can't help but marvel at the absolute genius of this temple. I'm standing right here next to the stone chariot, a temple built as a chariot on wheels. It is absolutely lovely. This structure is considered a monolith, but is actually 7 slabs of stone put together, carved intricately and painted in herbal colors back then. It is actually a temple of Garuda, the bird, which was the vehicle of Lord Vishnu. Everywhere you go, every corner and Hampi that you turn to becomes a perfect picture postcard. I'm at the Virupaksha temple right now, dedicated to Lord Shiva and his consort goddess Padmavati. This is one of the oldest temples that's still in active worship. It was started back in the 7th century AD. The Chalukya emperors also paid their respects to Lord Shiva here, and so did all the emperors from the Vijayanagara era. As I said earlier on, this is one of the oldest temples that's still in active worship, and every king who has been in this area has added to this place in some way or the other. To start off with, in the 7th century AD, those temples were probably built by the Chalukyas, the pyramid-like structure behind me. And here, the main temple itself, the Virupaksha temple, the first Gopura there was built by Hakka Bakka in the 14th century. This really big one was built by Praudadevaraya, and the one in the middle was built by Krishnadevaraya during his coronation, adding not just to the charm of this place but also sort of to the magic. And I guess every king who's come here has built something, either a gopura, a small temple, an idol, not just to add to the spirituality of the place but also to the power of his own kingdom. This is a great location to be at if you just want to take in the wide and vast expanse of Hampi. You're sitting at a structure built back in the 7th century by the Chalukyas, looking at the Virupaksha temple built by the Vijayanagara Empire. And well, you know, it's just such a fantastic way of appreciating Hampi because there's a bit of the great architecture that we know of Hampi. The fact that the entire scenic view of the rocks is fantastic from here. You get to see a bit of the Tungabhadra and Anegundi on the other side. It truly is one of those places that you want to keep coming back to. Now this of course is the regular terrain of Hampi, all these rocks and boulders. I've gotten quite familiar with it and I'm also really fond of it. And look what I come upon. Paddy fields, coconut trees, right in the middle of all these rocks. It just looks so beautiful. A green patch of cultivation amidst what is classically Hampi. This is the Janana enclosure, and what an absolutely wonderful spot. The idea is that the Queen spent her summers here with all her women. This area was only for women. What you see there behind me is the Queen's Palace, or at least it was the Queen's Palace. And you have 4 watchtowers all around to make sure the Queen and her friends were completely secure. And this absolutely lovely lotus-like building behind me is known as the Lotus Mahal. This is where the Queen took her nap in the afternoon. Now what a wonderful way to have a siesta. Another huge attraction in Hampi are all the excavated sites. There are quite a few, and this one is probably one of the most prominent of them. The entire area is the King's Palace, excavated about 20 years ago. This used to be the King's living quarters, and this used